All right, boys and girls, we are all the way to chapter 13 of The Secret of Smith's Hill. Today our headline reads, "But what does the Smith's Hill ghost want?" The story so far, the twins learned that a Frances Smith died on Smith's Hill in 1782, which seems to prove that the stone fragments are part of her gravestone. All right, let's jump right in. Kelly, James, and the town clerk, Mrs. Babson, stared at the words under deaths in the town record book. Frances Smith, Smith's Hill, January 20th, 1782. "Okay," said Kelly. "Who was Frances Smith? And why is she haunting us?" she added silently. "I can answer that," said Mrs. Babson. "She was the daughter of Jane and Elijah Smith. They were the last family to live on Smith's Hill. Frances died young, of a broken heart, they say." "The hair and the locket," Kelly whispered to James. "And I think," Mrs. Babson took a book stamped Town History off a shelf behind her desk. "Yes, here it is. Frances Smith," she read, "asked to be buried on the family property, near where her fiancé, John Bridgeton, had said goodbye to her before leaving to join Washington's Continental Army in New Jersey." "The diary!" Kelly whispered to James. "Jay in the diary! Whoa!" So, boys and girls, Kelly thinks that the Jay that was written about in the diary is her fiancé, John Bridgeton. He left her a lock of his hair and a horseshoe for luck, but he was killed at Yorktown before the surrender, and Frances died soon after. "Poor girl," Mrs. Babson said. "I always thought that was such a sad romantic story." She put the book back. "Come back any time, dears," Mrs. Babson said. "There's a lot of history in our little town." "I'm sure there is," Kelly said, her hand on the doorknob. "Well, thanks again." "Wow, James," she shouted when they got outside to wait for Sam. "Do you realize what this means? Horseshoe, lock of hair, diary?" "I realize what it might mean," top of the second column. James said, frowning, "that we've got Frances Smith's grave on our land, and I bet that Frances Smith," Kelly added, "who probably wrote the diary, has turned into a poltergeist who's asking us to do something. Wow, a Revolutionary War ghost." "Gooey," she added suddenly as Sam drove up. "Remember? Frances Smith's asking us to go away." Later, James and Kelly sat on James's bed figuring out what to do next. "Okay," James said, "I have to admit there's no other explanation. But how do you contact a poltergeist?" "We could try Morse code," Kelly said. "Frances did all that tapping." "She didn't seem to know Morse, though. Wait, he got the M volume of the family encyclopedia." "Nope, she couldn't have," he said, after flipping through it. "It wasn't invented till the 1830s. Well, boys and girls, that means there's no way she could know Morse code. This was in the 1700s. They were both silent for a minute. "We could try Corey's blocks," Kelly suggested. "Huh?" "We could spell out questions with blocks and see if she answers." James looked doubtful. "I bet she won't answer with us right there watching." "We could spell out a question and then go away and see if she answers." "I guess it's worth a try." Later that night, when their parents were asleep, the twins crept downstairs to the living room and spelled out, "Are you Frances Smith?" All right, top of the third column, with Corey's blocks. They couldn't add a question mark because there wasn't any punctuation on the blocks. "How long should we wait?" James asked as they went into the kitchen. Kelly shrugged. 10 minutes? Okay. When the time was up, they went back. And there, under their question, were blocks spelling out I. A-Y-E, I. "I?" said James. "That means yes, bonehead, it's working." Kelly arranged more blocks. "What do you want?" They left the room again and this time returned in 5 minutes. "Go way." "Good, Frances," James said. "Your spelling's improving." "Maybe she never went to school," Kelly suggested. "Sometimes girls didn't, I think. Or maybe she's hurrying. Maybe it's hard for a ghost to move blocks around. But now what? We can't go away." James spelled out, "We can't." And under it, Kelly spelled, "What else?" They had barely left the room when they heard a thump. The answer was on the floor when they dashed back. Fikgref. Fikgref. "Oh, great," James said. "That's a huge help, Franny." "Don't insult her," Kelly said. "She might be listening." "Are you listening?" James asked, twisting his head around as if looking for Francis. Tap, tap, tap. But there were no answering taps or crashes or anything. "We don't understand. What do you mean?" Kelly spelled out. This time, there was no answer. Our next chapter is suspicions. All right, answer your questions. Use your text. Bye.